Alright everyone, the other day there was a racially motivated attack in which a black dude came up behind an old white dude and smashed him in the head with a brick, leaving him bleeding out on the pavement, while the person recording, I believe, was the one particularly chanting, "White lives don't matter," which is, I'm sure, it's an example of the intellect of people who think that way. I'm thinking to myself, let's say the roles had been reversed. And I know it's usually not a good idea to do this because the role reversal thing gets people on the left and the right all anxious and they start screaming about fence sitting and bullshit like that. But imagine that some random white person came up behind a black person, beamed him in the back of the head with a brick, and the person recording said, "Oh, haha, black lives don't matter." You'd have like 1,000 FBI agents who would swoop down in 10 fucking minutes, dude. It would be all over the legacy media. Oh, rash of racially motivated attacks. White nationalists are trying to cause a civil war. It's terrible. Hide your kids. Hide your parents, too, because they're killing everybody. It would be anarchy. It'd be insane. It'd certainly be front page news. Remember when there was that knockout game and the legacy media went to great lengths to try to whitewash the situation and pretend it was something that it wasn't? Sort of petered out like most fads do, like Furby or Molest Me Elmo or something like that, but here you've got a clear racial attack. They're literally chanting racist things during the course of the attack. Nobody will probably face any real repercussions. Do you think they're going to add hate crime charges on this attack? No, because of the race of the perpetrator and the race of the victim is wrong, so hate crime charges won't stick. Probably have a Soros attorney make sure that they get released without bail and they'll just disappear and nobody will ever bring up the issue again. This has happened over and fucking over again. It's getting tiresome. It's getting rather boring to the point where people are starting to think, maybe we need to look into who the DAs are. Maybe it's not the problem of the judges, because of course Trump has overhauled half the fucking judges in the country that he's able to appoint anyway, and multiple governors have done the same. Maybe it's about the prosecutors. Maybe we need better prosecutors that will actually prosecute crime. Maybe that's the problem. Isn't it up in Oregon that one woman is releasing new guidelines for prosecutors and shit? And it includes the idea of not just arresting people, but actually charging them when there's a crime. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of their job. Why weren't they doing that to begin with? That's not a reform. That's literally the job description. What the fuck are you talking about? I guess it's funny because Kamala and Biden together are the most tough on crime pairing that we've ever had run for the presidency. It's like fucking Nixon on steroids or something. But only if it's truancy or pot smokers or something like that. Not if it's rioters. They won't even call out Antifa. They still think that Antifa doesn't exist. Joe Biden's living in La La Land, so at least he has the plausible deniability. He doesn't even know where his socks are, so he doesn't know what year it is. I suppose I can give him a pass if he doesn't understand what Antifa's all about, since, back when he was born, Antifa was still very, very new. Was he born in, I think, the 40s or something like that? Yeah, literally. He's I think, on the oldest edge of boomerism. Is he technically a few years outside of boomer, actually? He might be from the great generation, something like that. And the man's pushing 80 years old. And yeah, again, can you imagine? And again, it's usually not good to play this sort of imagine if, sort of whataboutism game, but imagine the difference in coverage. Imagine the difference in who would actually be angry about this, and there are hypocrites on the right that would be silently smirking in their rooms and sharing out the story with a little bit more than a wink and a nudge if the roles were reversed. Let's put it that way. I know some of them. You got some redeeming qualities maybe, but there's hypocrisy there. There are likewise plenty of people who will look at this and they will smirk at it. Oh, well, that evil, racist white dude, he probably is a Klan member anyway, he got his comeuppance. A proud, empowered black man beamed him on the head. Black power, and you'll get stuff like that. I personally think it's generally wrong to unprovokedly attack anybody, regardless of their race, creed, or religion, or whatever Tumblr gender they happen to be, but it's becoming less and less popular of an opinion. It's very, very funny watching, even like libertarians are like, well, there's this group, and I know there are plenty of tongue-in-cheek jokes like, oh, commie helicopter rides or something. Okay, I don't actually want to put communists in helicopters and dump them out over the ocean or something. That's a tongue-in-cheek joke. You realize that the happy no step on me snake meme, generally speaking, is tongue-in-cheek, right? Just so Jared Holt understands that. The commies generally aren't joking, though. They're very explicit in their literature about the fact that they want to kill 90% of the population. Really, they have more in common in some cases with Pol Pot than they would even like a Stalin. It's really funny if you actually listen to what they're saying. Some of these people are being very, very much unironic. It's not a LARP for them. They actually believe this shit. It's funny because like 10 years ago, or 15 or something, the general sort of consensus stereotype was like, especially older white people with plate carriers and assault rifles, it's sort of backwoodsy, dropped out of middle school, only read the Bible, that sort of thing, like the Rubish and backwards. Obama even talking about this, well, they cling to their guns and Bibles. Remember that one? It's very interesting because now it really applies more to the left. These people, they have their LARP tactical gear, and they only read the Communist Manifesto and think that if you interpret it a way that they didn't interpret it, that there's something mentally and philosophically incoherent about you, and they cling to their guns and their Bible. But the Bible that they have in mind, of course, is red and has a hammer and sickle on it. The teachings of Mao Zedong and stupid shit like that. It's interesting how the times have changed. Can you understand now why I left the Democratic Party behind when I realized Obama had sold out around 2010? And decided to go for Ron Paul, actually, in 2012, because Mitt Romney was scarcely better. Honestly, when they talked on stage, if I closed my eyes, I couldn't really tell who was who. Basically, we're the same when you think about it. Think about if the races were reversed here. Let's play a differential in legacy media reporting. What would the difference be? Well, there'd be 10 times as many reports for twice as long. It wouldn't just be a 15-minute news cycle sort of page 2 thing. And it would be decried. The ADL would call it a terrorist attack. The SPLC would demand answers. It would demand inquiries. It would also demand more donations. You would see the person who conducted the attack very quickly in jail with massive hate crime charges, attempted murder. They'd be in the jail for the rest of their life. You're not going to see that, though. Has the perp even been arrested? Even odds says probably not. You got plenty of racial attacks going on in all these cities anyway right now. BLM members, most of them are racist. They chant racist things. They are obsessed with the concept of races being different. In fact, that's the whole reason for the fucking BLM existing, is this stupid grift about differentials and police brutality that don't even exist. It's sort of like groups that exist to address the non-existent wage gap. Well, then fucking convince women, if you want to make that wage gap disappear. I almost said race gap. Interesting little faux there. If you want to make that disappear, then all you got to do is get women to work on oil rigs and stuff like that. You know, some of those dudes make like $60K a year to start, right? No more wage gap. Not that it exists in genres of business already anyway. It's due to differential lifestyle choices mainly. When men can get pregnant, the wage gap will reverse. Then we'll be talking about reparations for pregnant men or something like that. Trust me, they'll develop the technology. They'll have implantable wombs for dudes that are into that sort of shit. I don't know exactly, where the baby comes out or something. Maybe through the dick, I suppose. That's about all. Peace out.